Hey, how's it going everyone? In today's video, I'm going to show you how I made my very first cutting board. I had these fairly big offcuts of hardwood from the waterfall coffee table build that were a little too good for the bin or the fire pit, so I thought I'd use them to make my first cutting board. I cut them into strips that were a bit wider than the final thickness I wanted the board to be, making sure to cut out the glue lines. There wasn't enough timber in the two offcuts, but luckily I had more of that timber in some longer strips, so I thought I'd mix up the layout a bit with long and short strips. The pieces were the same height, but there were slight differences in their thickness, which meant I couldn't glue the whole board up at once. Those short lengths were just too short to put through the thicknesser on their own, so I glued the board up in stages. I glued up the two outside sections first, then once they were dry I could run the full length through the thicknesser to create a flat glue surface for the next section. Then it was just a matter of gluing on another row of pieces, staggering the glue joints. I did this to both outside sections. Once they were dry, I could run them through the thicknesser again to create that flat glue surface. With that done and a third section glued up and milled, I could put the board together. Yeah, I think I went a bit overboard with the glue here, but it's better than not having enough. I must have got distracted though by all that glue, because I actually made a mistake with the orientation of one of the sections. That second piece there was meant to go around the other way, with the full strip against the first piece. Obviously, I haven't noticed my mistake yet because I continue to glue two full strips together, and I didn't notice this mistake for quite a while into the build. Once the board had fully dried, I ran it through the thicknesser again to get it flat on both faces and to remove the glue squeeze out. There was a small amount of tear out on the board, so I gave it a good sanding with 80 grit paper, which smoothed it out nicely. There were a few very fine gaps in the board, so I used some Starbond medium thick brown CA glue with the accelerator, and that worked perfectly to fill the gaps, without having to wait for anything to cure or set. And it sands off easily too. Next, I trimmed the board to final size and did that with a few passes on the table saw rather than one full cut. Oops, just not high enough. I find this technique great for hardwood because it eliminates burning and it's easier on the tools. Once that was done, I added the chamfer to all the edges. I used a 1/2 inch spiral bit to cut the finger holds on the underside of each end of the board. To finish these off, I used my trim router to chamfer those sharp edges as well. Time for the finish, which was a food grade mineral oil. I applied it liberally and let it soak in for a while, then wiped off any excess. The edge grain of this timber was just amazing. Well, there you go, my very first cutting board. Seems I was a bit late with this project. It's a kind of a staple beginner project for all woodworkers. I missed that somewhere. Anyway, it's my first cutting board. I'm pretty happy with it too. Apart from that mistake with gluing the pieces around the wrong way, I did think about cutting it up and re-gluing it, but then I thought, oh, it's just not worth the effort. So I left it as it is. That gives it a bit of a quirky nature. That's what we call it anyway. Well, that's it for today. If you want to know what I'm up to in between videos, you can follow me on Instagram. But until next one, you guys all have a great day.